Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Spring Show 2023, here at the School of Game Development at the Academy of Art University. My name is Rez Graham, and I will be your host and MC for this evening for the 6th annual Gammys. Now, the Spring Show is where we showcase a lot of the best work that we have that comes through these halls. The School of Game Development has been around for 14 years, so we've been doing it for 14 years here. The Gammys came around about 6 years ago, and we thought it'd be fun to create this award show to feature the best in show and the best of various different categories. So there'll be a runners-up, and there'll be a winner for each of the various categories that we're going to go through. Now, let's kick it off with our very first category, programming. What is programming? Programming is writing the core code and technology to bring the creations of the designers and artists to life on the screen for the player. This year's runner-up in the category of programming is Michael McCluskey with the BSP City Generator. This year's winner in the category of programming is Aaron Grover for his Excelsius engine. Weren't both of those incredible? I was blown away when I first saw them, when I first saw those submissions come in, and really all the submissions that came through. But these two in particular were just stunning to me. All right, let's move on to the second category. The second category is technical art. What is technical art? Technical art is the bridging between programming and art. It bridges those two things together. So it's things like setting up a character, a 3D model or something, to be animated in-game, that kind of thing, which we call rigging, or animation, that kind of stuff. That's what technical art is. Now, the winner for technical art is Caitlin Lobitz with Brawler Enemy Animation. Amazing. That's incredible. I'm an engineer, so I'm not an artist by any stretch, but I'm always just stunned when I see all of the amazing artwork that comes through here. It's just so good. Okay. Speaking of artwork, let's move on to our third category, which is 3D art. What is 3D art? Well, 3D art is the 3D characters and geometry and stuff that you see in the world. So, a chair, whatever, in a 3D game. It's anywhere from characters to props or any of that kind of stuff. Now, we're going to start with characters in particular. That's where we're going to start. So, this year's runner-up for 3D art, for 3D modeling, for characters is Majo Batista with Ground Zero Yoko Mio Last Hope Boss Battle. This year's winner in 3D art for characters is Satya Capacetti with Wednesday's Divination. See what I mean? Those were amazing. All right, let's keep going down the 3D track and move on to 3D art, props, and vehicles. All right, what do we mean by props and vehicles? A prop is something that you might find, a physical object that you might find in the world. That's what a prop is, or a vehicle is a vehicle that you might find in the world. So these are modeled things like that, as opposed to a character, which would be a person or something. Okay, so this year's runner-up in the category of 3D art, props, and vehicles is Gunnar Lindberg with Warhammer 40K Bolter Rifle. This year's winner for vehicles and props, for 3D art, vehicles and props and vehicles, is Jute with Biocontainment. Just awesome. Okay, here's a category that I just love, which is environment. So this is 3D art environments. What do we mean by environments? Well, an environment is a place where someone exists. So it could be caves or, you know, a bunch of like a forest or whatever. It's the environment in which you are placed in. It's the environment in which the world takes place. Now the runner-up for the category of 3D art environments is Nicole Burke with Winsfeld Library. And this year's winner for 3D modeling environment art is Amal Ashokan with Buddhist Odyssey. I want to visit both of those places. I'm going to be honest. I just want to do my work from both of those places. They both look amazing to me. Okay, we have another category for you. This time we're moving away from the art and going into the realm of game design. What is game design? Game designers are a little bit of everything, but in the end, they are the soul of the game. So game design is really the feel of the game. It's everything. The first category that we're going to do, the subcategory that we're going to do is full games. So we're going to look at full games that were submitted. Now, before we do, there are a couple of games that I want to mention as these honorable mentions. We just want to give a shout out to these games because they are really awesome. And they're made by teams and are collaborative projects. So if you're a student here, they're called the 498 classes. And these classes are basically simulate what it's like working in the industry. That's the goal. And we make real games in those classes. And you can play a couple of them now. You can play them on the kiosks. The first game is called Brawler by Jeffrey Bexko. The second is called Plague by Audrey White and Zoe Kister. So those are the two games. Give them a play. They're really cool. I've played both of them. They're awesome. They're super fun to play. So give them a shot. If you're local here, if you're at the spring show right now, you can play them on the kiosks that are there. The games are right there. Otherwise, you can play them on the 8th floor here. Again, if you're local, you can play them up there. If you're not local, or you just want to play them from the comfort of your own home, you can grab them from the Spring Show site. So take a look at that. Now, we're going to start looking at the full game categories. This is the winner and the runner-up. We're going to start, of course, with this year's runner-up in the category of game design for full game. Spencer Simons with Guardian Heroes. And this year's winner for game design full game is Dominic Rangel with Castlemania. See what I mean? Creating an entire game is it's a daunting process. And these students have done it. And they look incredible. And they play even better. So again, I encourage you to come and play the games that I mentioned earlier and the games that are here that have won these categories. So let's move on to the next subcategory, which is level design. It's a piece of game design. Level design is piecing the levels together so that they can make logical sense or just sense in terms of the gameplay and the puzzles and things like that. So it's putting all the level pieces together, almost like a Lego block set. Now, the runner-up in the category of level design Vuvo Legion Zero. This year's winner in the category of level design is Jordan Fritty with Epsilon. Absolutely amazing. See what I mean by piecing all the levels together, almost like Lego blocks. It's very fun. Okay, let's move on to the next category, which is game mechanics. Now, this is also part of game design. Game mechanics are the things that you do in the game. It could be anything from a little jump to swinging a sword to how quests work. So it's all these little things, but it's usually the little kind of things that you do. One way to think about it is they are the verbs of the game. So the runner-up in the category of game mechanics is Ethan Alcantara with Demon's Heir. This year's winner in the category of game design for game mechanics is Devin Brock with Idle Island. absolutely love game mechanics, and it seems like they've nailed them. You can see they put a lot of time, they put a lot of effort, and it really shows. This is what professional game mechanics look like. Okay, so that's game design. Let's move on to the final of the major categories, which is concept art. What is concept art? Concept art is a pre-production process by which they create ideas. It's really about creating ideas. Visual ideas, it could be mechanical ideas, but it's quickly generating ideas for what this game is going to be, what it's going to look like, how it's going to feel. It's all of those things. Now, we're going to look at the first subcategory, which is sketches. So rough sketches, things like that. Now, the runner-up in the category of concept art sketches is Joseph Kabunkel with Environment Thumbnails. This year's winner in the category of concept art sketches is Sharon Chen with Colors on the Road. They're just absolutely gorgeous. I must admit some jealousy in that I can't draw at all. And I love all of the artwork that just comes out of the school. It is just amazing. And all of this stuff is great. So let's move on to the next category. The next category is going to be also in concept art for portraits. Now, portraits, what we mean portraits of a person, of a character, that kind of thing. So that's a portrait. So the runner-up in the category of concept art portraits is Rayland Frederick with Lights. This year's winner in the category of concept art portraits is Yashin Mu. Just brilliant, absolutely brilliant. All right. I love all these pieces. I'm always, I'm an engineer, so whenever I see these pieces, I'm always just so inspired by them. That's my big takeaway from these. And that's the point, right? That's what concept art is all about. So moving on to concept art, we now have concept art props. And we talked about props earlier. We saw the 3D models, the 3D props and things like that. This is the same thing, except it's the concept version. So concept artists will draw it, hand it off to the 3D artist, and the 3D artist will create it for something to go in the game. That's what props are. So the runner-up for concept art props is Zoe Kister with BDL Mech. This year's winner in the category of concept art prop design is Jin Takizawa. I love it. I love all of it. The next piece, the next section, the next category is creature design, concept art creature design. It's designing all of the weird creatures and stuff that you see in game. Can't wait. Here we go. The runner-up in the category of concept art creature design is Caitlin Lobitz. The winner for concept art creature design is Joy Zhao. Those are so good. It's all so good. Okay, we have one last category for concept art. That category is environment design. It's the same thing that I mentioned before. So we have 3D environments. A concept artist will draw the environments, and then a 3D modeler will take inspiration from that and take those pieces and make them into the actual game. So that's what we've got. Now, we have our runner-up. So the runner-up for concept art environments is Sharon Chen with Fish Shop Night. This year's winner for concept art environments is Chae-Woon Hyun with Memory of Theater Mercury. And that's it for concept art. I'm blown away by everything that we've seen, not only in concept art, but in design, in 3D art, in programming, all across the entire school, in technical art. All of these categories are just amazing. And it was so hard to choose which ones go in. And it was so hard to choose from among these for our final piece for tonight. Now, the final piece is the best in show. There's an overall best in show for these various major categories. We're going to start with best in show for art. So that's 3D art and concept art. The overall best in show for 3D art and concept art is Amal Ashokan. Now the overall winner for game design is Audrey White and Zoe Kister with Plague. Told you it was going to be amazing the whole way through, right? And that's what the winners and the runners-up mean. And I want to congratulate all of the winners, all of the runners-up. You submitted some incredible work. We were all just, our jaws hit the floor every time. It was amazing. I also want to thank everyone who submitted at all. It's a scary thing to submit to the spring show. And many of you made it in. So as a reminder, you've just seen the winners and the runners-up. You haven't seen everyone who has accepted. There's tons of extra work here. You can come down to San Francisco and see them, or if you don't want to make the trek out here or you're from somewhere else, you can see it all online. So you can just look at the Spring Show website. Everyone who has accepted is up there. A lot of the games are up there. You can download them and play them. I encourage you to go check it out and see all of what our students have to offer, because really, it's all gold. It's all amazing. I want to thank all of the faculty. I want to thank all of the directors and the part-timers and the leads and the staff and everyone who donated their time to judge all of the different entries. We got a lot of entries, which is great. We judged all the entries. We had people working on how to set up the spring show and putting all the stuff. If you go to the show, all the things that are up there. Everyone really worked hard to make this a really good show. I want to thank everyone who submitted anything. I want to thank all the parents for raising such amazing children and turning them to incredible adults and incredible artists. And I want to thank literally anybody who's watching this. Thank you for sitting through and watching the future of game development and the future of art. And I want to leave you with one last thing. One last piece, which is this, because I know that there are students out there, because they talk to me, and they say, Rez, I am not that good. They look at all the artwork and they're like, I'm never going to make that. And you're wrong. You're 100% wrong. You totally can make this. You can make it to this level. All you need to do is work, right? Nobody who's here, who's a winner, just wished upon a star to have this miracle descend upon them. They weren't born, they weren't born with like a pen in their hand, with a stylus in their hand. They didn't, wish on this fairy princess to come and sprinkle them with fairy dust to make their hands draw perfectly or to know a good level from a bad one. No. They worked at it. They worked really, really, really hard. That's what it takes. Grind through it. Work and time. That's what it takes. So I leave you with one piece of very unsolicited advice. But take my advice. Here it is. All it takes to succeed is a blank canvas and your own hard work. That's all it takes. With that, you can just give yourself the world. That's all it takes. A little bit of hard work, and the world is yours. So for everyone who's still here, everyone who's still watching, I invite you, in whatever it is, even if you're not a student here, find your canvas, whatever it is, whether it's cards or paper or anything. Find your canvas and make art. My name is Rez Graham. I've had a hell of a time, and I hope you have too. Thank you, and good night.